Good morning and welcome. You are with the Skeinz Diaries with Marie here on a very, very sunny 7th of November. Happy Monday to you all, and I hope you have had a great weekend wherever you are. Wonderful weekend here. Spring is certainly finally sprung here in the Bay, and it was the first weekend where we had a really big convergence of events here. So for those that have never been to Hawke's Bay, we are very much a holiday destination and resort destination, as we are sort of agrarian and industry and farming as well. So this past weekend was so busy around town. The city was absolutely groaning. We had the Iron Māori Triathlon was on Saturday. The 660 concert was on Saturday night. The Ovation of the Seas was in Port on Saturday with over 5,500 guests. Fork events were also on, which is the Food and Wine Classic. Honestly, it was heaving here in town over the weekend. You could barely swing a cat. It was wonderful. It was lots of energy, and it was the first time actually that we've had so many events all on, all happening with lots of people and just this really incredible energy. It was amazing. Oh, I'm just looking at my glasses. It's all a bit twangy. Let's get rid of that. So it was great. It was so good. Good morning, everyone. Oh, there we go. Get rid of that so it's not all uneven. So it was great. And I did get a little knitting done, not as much as I would have liked because it was just the weather was too good. I even got out in the garden. I don't say that very often. So it was wonderful. So good morning to everybody. If you have checked your inboxes this morning, you will see that you have received the email about Glencoe. So Glencoe is the next colour being released in the Highlander Heather collection, and in fact we just finalised the blend for the final colour, Stornoway, today, which is going to be a really dark sort of black opaly shade. So that will probably come late this month, probably early December, but it's all about Glencoe today, and here it is. So that is the Glencoe. It is fantastic. It's a really beautiful, rich, sort of ruby port shaded yarn. It's got little hints of sort of violet and berry and purple and maroon. It is just stunning, absolutely beautiful, and we love it. We really, really love it, and it's just gorgeous. And what I love about it is that it's a colour that is that would look great on anybody. It would just, and it feels really grown up and mature and just lovely, really lovely. So yes, so this is Glencoe, and what I also love about it is it looks so utterly fabulous with the other shades, and there they all are together. So there's the Glencoe, the Brigadoon, and the Scotch Mist. And actually I popped out on a tile, created a tile this morning. For me they feel really festive, really, really festive, and particularly these two together look super festive, and I just think they look great. So I'm really, really, really thrilled with them. So obviously the same as the others, that we've got this in 5-ply sport and DK, and they are 303 meters for the sport, 200 meters for the DK. And of course, they work interchangeably with each other, but they also work interchangeably with all our Southlander yarns, including the Southlander Myrtle yarns. So it means that if you're wanting to do something like colour work, like if you're wanting to do a Jennifer Steingast pattern or some of the Caitlin Hunter patterns, and you're wanting to mix around with some colour work, these are ideal. It also means that you can get those contrasts in as well. So things like these two deeper shades particularly look great with oatmeal in regular Southlander, look fantastic with these. In fact, I should have grabbed an oatmeal to show you. So they work really, really well together. They very, very happily work together. And this one has got, it's sort of, there's just more subtleties in this than the Loganberry and the Southlander. So it is really, it just got little highlights and lowlights, and it really is quite delicious. Quite lovely. So we're absolutely delighted absolutely delighted with it. So those are now all there. So those are the 3 shades that are there. And as I said, Stornoway probably is about a month away, because as I said, it was being blended today. We just had to finalize some stuff on the blend sheets first thing this morning. So that's really exciting. Now, as luck would have it, and I think she must have actually been a mind reader over the weekend, but in my inbox this morning with the regular Wise Owl newsletter that I get from Cheryl Beckerich. If you haven't signed up for the Wise Owl newsletter, you need to. So at Wise Owl Knits. And she just highlighted a design of hers that she's had up for a few years that she did for Cascade. And this is it here. It's called the Vineyard Stroll cardigan. And it's this really classic swing cardigan. And as soon as I took one look at it, and it was perfect for absolutely perfect for the DK version of Glencoe. And I love myself a swing cardigan. As you know, I did Nanook, which is a similar construction to this. So when I'm saying a swing cardigan, you've got a raglan shaping just here at the front. Miss Jane is another version of this. So you've just got raglan shaping here in the front, and then you've got 2 flaps that can actually overlap at the front. But if you leave them open, you just get this nice sort of flappy sort of silhouette of fabric either side, which makes it really, really easy care to wear. And actually, here's a really good example here. And she's actually got a double raglan on hers, so it's actually got a bit more structure. But that just shows you that big square piece at the front. Now, why do I like this? The reason I like this is that I quite like to wear cardigans sort of open because I'm of an age. I'm, not the most svelte example out there. So I do like something with plenty of drape. And, I don't necessarily want things across the matronly bosom. So these sorts of swing cardigans are utterly perfect because I can just sort of have it drapey there. And if it's a little bit cool, you can actually pop them over. And the Nook does this. You can actually double cross them over and have it like a shawl pin or pin them up if you're out and about walking, and then that will actually protect you from the wind or the cold. So they're actually a really practical thing to wear. They look really stylish. They would look great. I mean, as you can see, this model here has just got this with a black top and some jeans underneath. To be fair, that's exactly how I would wear it. Would be with something like that. It also looks great over the top. I've got like a black maxi dress that this would look fantastic over the top of. So as soon as I saw that from Cheryl, I was just like, snap! Absolutely perfect for the Highlander Heathers. Now, here's the interesting thing. The Cascade yarn used in this is actually a yarn that, of course, they call worsted. And it's worsted in terms of thickness. Now, this is an interesting thing that I've noticed around North American yarn weights, especially, is here in this country, what we still consider a double knitting yarn is, and it is often still at the heavier end of double knitting, especially, is something that they would actually consider closer to an Aran or a worsted weight yarn. And they would actually knit those at a firmer a looser gauge quite readily. And this yarn is a really classic case in point. I had a look at the yarn. It's a worsted spun yarn, merino and silk. It's absolutely beautiful from Cascade, called Friday Harbour, which we haven't got access down here. However, the meterage, and this is the other reason it put a light bulb for me, it's 100 gram skein and the meterage is 200 meters. Well, guess what this is for a 100 gram ball? You guessed it. 200 meters. So that tells me that the count is identical. So then that knows, then in terms of substitution, you're as good as gold. It's knitted on a 5mm needle. It is worked flat across the body with the sleeves worked in the round. She suggests using a circular needle because there's a lot of stitches on there, to be fair. So you would want to use a circular needle to get all those stitches on there. And the gauge she has in there, and I love Cheryl, knowing she's very exact, and she put in, I think it was 17.25 or 17.5 stitches per 10 centimetres, but essentially with the amount of ease and drape in there, you're looking at 18 stitches is a rough rule of thumb, which is about right. The nice thing, just right, actually, not about right, just right. The nice thing about the DKs in these Highlander Heather colours is because these are made by our New Zealand half-bred sheep, locally grown, and it's a good, good springy wool, is it can actually go up to that gauge quite happily and is going to wear well for you. It's not going to, get all bent or stretched out of shape. It's not going to pill too readily because of the nature of the yarn. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend stretching out to that gauge for a finer gauged yarn, like a fibered yarn, like a fine merino, for example, because you would be starting to have a really intimate relationship with your fabric shaver at that point. But with these guys, absolutely no problem whatsoever. Now, I did see a question there. Was it Patricia was saying, there we go. How does it sit and look at the back and the bottom? There we go, Patricia. That's how it looks at the back and the bottom. I haven't pulled this up on screen because when you pull it up, it actually comes up into a PDF, and it's a pain in the bum to put that on the screen, so I just printed it out. So that's what it would look like if you sort of wrapped it over the front, and you could use a little brooch or a shawl pin there, and it sits actually nice and flat at the back. And I think that's because she's actually done the double, put a little bit of time into that sleeve shaping and shoulders, so it actually sits really, really well. Now, the best part about this is free. Yes. So if you haven't opened your, I've got a link. Kathy's just popped a link in the comments. I've also got a link actually in the show notes once this finishes up, and it's in the newsletter as well. But I would download this one and just get this in the library and have it on hand anyway. It's a perfect, that would look great in any of our more rustic DK yarns. It would look great for the Southlanders, the Trudy Myrtles. I would use the Cove. Actually, Cove would work all right in this. It would look fantastic. Vintage, actually. You could actually push vintage out to this. It's really cool. And great sizings too. Extra small all the way to 3XL. And if you wanted to pull it back and just do it as a DK, you could, and all you would have to do is make that little knit math adjustment between 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. If you're doing a 4mm needle at standard DK tension, from 18 stitches, and that is I think I've worked that out in the past, it's about 18% roughly from memory. So that's easy enough to do. And to be honest with you, it would probably take you from, if you were at the one end of one size, it would just push you out to the opposite end of another size. So it's not really too much of a shift, to be fair. The other yarn I think this would look great in is Glencoe too. So if you've been looking for something like this, I would definitely download this. So Cheryl, you were a mind reader, absolute mind reader. Thank you so much for that. Really, it was just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's why she's one of our favourites. So that is utterly perfect. If that doesn't float your boat, fear not. Fear not. I have your backs, people. First in ladies knits, Claire has madly getting all these uploaded. This is another one from our Australian yarn company. This one's called Homegrown Fashion. And as you can see, all those patterns on the back, all of them are in DK bar one. There's one in sport weight. The rest are in DK. And in fact, that's the sport weight one there. Classic little cardigan, contrast cardi. I mean, can't you just see that in Scotch Mist? Gorge. But this is really, in fact, the one on the front is probably the most exotic of all the designs, to be fair. They are what I would call good classic wardrobe staples. We like good classic wardrobe staples. I mean, these are not going to appear on a catwalk anytime soon, but you know what? Neither am I. Really? Am I? But what I do want are really good wearable pieces. And that's why I think this one's called Homegrown Fashion, is because they are about just having pieces that you wear. Look, adult vest. It's a really great we book. There's even there's a hoodie in here. There's just sort of standard sweaters, a couple of other sweaters. It's actually a really cracking one. So that is actually up under the pattern page. So if you have a go to browse by type in this thing and go down to patterns, the pattern page is there, and you'll see that there, and you'll be able to see all the patterns there. So that's if you've want some more ladies knits. And I can tell you how much it is because I pulled the page up. I think it's there we go, $27.95 is that one. And then we've got a couple of leaflets that we've just popped up as well. So if you don't want to have to buy a book, we've got these in leaflets. So this is just the classic. This one's just called a classic jumper. It's a saddle-shouldered jumper with a placarded front and ribbed sleeves. So there's a close-up of the saddle. Whoopsie, can we see that? The saddle shoulder. So you can see the saddle shoulder there and the ribbed sleeves with that placarded front. That is also in DK. And the other one is this one here, and this is called Male Knits for Men. And this one I think would look, and it's the yarn that they've used, obviously was a little bit of a male, but so you can see with this, you just know that the Highlander Heathers will look fantastic with this, particularly with this patterning in the front. It will just actually make all those colours dance and have them look amazing. And then look, there's just chucked in at the end is this wee magic beanie at the back, which is awesome. So, and it uses a yarn called Wanderer, and actually the yarn that they recommend is actually it's essentially a heathered yarn, exactly like this. So those ones are both up, and both those leaflets are $11.95. So they're great value. So if you are wanting to sort of get a regular, I actually have a nice meaty project for the spring and the summer, go and grab some of those. I like a nice meaty project for the spring and summer, as you well know. So that's them. And as I said, DK and Sport. And they are in store and online now. So good news on that, isn't it, really? Right, my knitting. How did I get on with my knitting over the weekends? And I'll just make sure there was no other questions while I was gas bagging away. No, very good. While I was bagging away. So I've been working on my design over the weekend, which is the Basketweaver shawl there by Monsieur West, Mr. Stephen West. I am having such a good time with this. I gave you popped a wee progress post up on social media this morning. To be honest, I didn't knit as much of it as I would have liked because I had so much else going on, but I've completed the small block section now, and I've got one more row in the transition block for the increasing. So he's got a small block and then a medium block and then a large block. And I was really intrigued to see how he was going to handle the transition and have the transition look so seamless. I really didn't quite know how he was going to manage that. And that row to actually get the increase, which is this row here, you can see just there, how he's gone and done it, I shouldn't be surprised, is utterly genius. So here it is there. So, of course, obviously this is unblocked. And you can already see by the boing in it, because, roving's actually, even though it's a single roving yarn, it's because of the knit and purl in this, it's actually still got quite a bit of spring, and it's sitting up really well. As you can see, it's really giving that woven texture to this. And even with a block, I know that even with a block, it will continue to do that. So with the block, it will have everything sitting out, but it will still have that texture sitting there, and it's going to look amazing. And the way he's gone and done it, and I'll just stretch that out a little bit so you can see, in that extra increase section and have it look so seamless is so freaking clever. Really clever. So as I mentioned before, to get, that visual illusion of actually being woven, what he's gone and done is made a really clever use of yarn overs with a left and right slanting decrease. So he's gone and used an SSK and a knit two together. And you really do need to make sure that you've got an SSK that works well for you for this, by the way, because you can't, I mean, sometimes in designs you can get away with and you think, oh, I can't be asked doing right and left decreases. I just like knit two together. I'm going to do knit two together. It won't work in this. You will need to put your big girl pants on or big boy pants on, and you need to get your toolbox sorted and actually get an SSK that works for you. It's not hard, but I do know people out there that just think, oh, I can't be bothered. Trust me, you want to be bothered with this. So the SSK I do, and I think we talked about this last time, and Charles was in the chat, and he made a very good point. He said, it doesn't matter which way you do it. You find the one that works for you and the way you like to do it. So some people like to knit two in the back of the loop. Some people like to do the slip and then go back round. For me, the perfect one I have found that works for me is I slip my first stitch knitwise, I slip my second stitch purlwise, and then I knit into the back of the loop. And I find, for me, that's my sweet spot. So that's what I like. It has the stitches sitting the way I like them, and it seems to be working superbly in this. So that's what I do. But you definitely do need to make the effort to SSK. You can't fudge that puppy, because that's part of the magic that makes this work. In the increasing, what he did in the increasing is that that increase row in the normal basket weave, you have your yarn over and then you do your decrease, so the two cancel each other out. So the only increasing you're getting in the shawl is at the two actual edges here. You can see them. Oopsie. You can see them there along the edges there. So those are the only increases, because he obviously balances his increases and decreases across the body of the work. On the increase row, we have yarn overs with no decreasing. So he doesn't do that. He allows you just to yarn over and keep going. So that instantly creates a huge number of stitches, but without disrupting the visual illusion of what it is that you're doing. Genius move number one. Genius move number two is when you come back the other way, is he wants to increase even more stitches. And what he does is he does a double increase. And I don't know whether you can see it with that yarn over there. He does a double increase into the yarn over. So see how there's two rows of stitches columning up from that top yarn over? And it's very clever by doing that. So again, it allows you in two rows to significantly increase the number of your stitches, but you haven't disrupted the visual flow of your project whatsoever. Freaking genius! Genius! So I love it. Really, really genius. It's so good. So good. So I'm very happy about that. I'm doing this obviously in roving, and as I said, single roving yarn. It's got lovely squish. I'm getting a slight little, it's softening. I mean, it's soft on ball, but it's softening even more as I knit it. And it's because, and I don't know whether you can see this, it's because it's a single roving yarn. I'm getting the slight little halo coming off this as I work it, and it's making it even softer to the handle. So and obviously that halo will settle down slightly with blocking, but it is actually an intended side effect that I wasn't aware would be the case, and I like it. I like it a lot. And in a shawl, I think it's actually going to work really, really well. So that is actually loads of fun too. So I'm very, very happy about that. So as I said, I've just got one more row to do. So I'm up to row 60, one more row to do on that transition to the mediums. And then I'm just heading into the medium. It is a really lovely, relaxing knit. It is easy to read your knitting and see where you're going. You don't have to panic too much about super concentration. Let's put it this way. I was my husband and I are watching a show on Netflix at the moment that's subtitled. I'm able to knit and watch a subtitled show at the same time. So that says to me that is a good thing. That is a good thing. So I'm loving it. I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm just chugging along quite nicely with that. It's the colour I'm doing is Stewart Island. I know that there were some questions. I popped out a tile yesterday, and this is the colour that I'm doing, but I think it would look great in any colour. Any of those colours that you want to sort of add a little bright pop into your wardrobe, grab this, and definitely feel free to cast it on in this. And actually, even the any of those patterns, and as she reaches over to grab it without sending everything flying, a lot of the ones in here would look great in the roving. And remember, roving is on Spotlight this month, which means it's on sale all month, $4.95 a ball, which is incredible value, 100 meters per 50-gram ball, so standard meterage, and it is just lovely. It's very, very good. What else do I need to tell you? Dips. I'm looking at I'm aiming to get a new dip out tomorrow. Well, I'm going to try and get it all set up for tonight. I might even get it out tonight if I'm lucky, but it'll be either tonight or tomorrow, and it's going to be called Apple Blossom, and it actually is sort of related to Forest Gnome that was out a couple of weeks ago. So if you've been hankering to do another timely cardigan, they're on the same base yarn, which is the High Twist Merino Superwash. So the two of them, colour-wise, they will work beautifully together. They will make the most incredible timely cardigans, look great in Rebel, or any sort of striping that you want to do with those two, I think would look so good. Or you could work it on its own, either or. So I'm going to get that one out. There's not a tremendous amount of it. I just need to confirm the numbers, but that's the plan, Stan. So do keep an eye out for that. Sue is asking, is the single ply robust enough for garments? Yes, is the short answer. So it's not going to be. It is actually surprisingly, and I'm going to pull the other end out when I find the other end. There it is. So there's that end. So often if you're dealing with a woolen spun single roving and you were to pull it, it would just come away. This is as you can see, there's quite a good snap there with this. So there's and the reason for that is long fiber with twist. So it's been carded. The fiber staple is about that long. So yes, it is not going to tear like tissue paper like a woolen spun single will. That's the first thing I can tell you. In terms of how this will wear, so if you were going, so it depends on what your tolerance for fluff and pilling are. If you select a design that is something that needs to look smooth and sleek and lovely, I wouldn't be picking this, because as I mentioned before, you get a lovely gentle halo with the yarn that comes up, and it will give you this gentle wee fluff, and there will be with wear some sort of pilling, which will actually, a sweater stone I think would work better with these, or you can still use your shaver. If you are actually somebody who has seen those designs that are, and I think I put a tile out about this at the end of last week, the latest design by Caitlin Halu, which is a double-stranded design, right? To give you that little halo of mohair. But not everybody likes mohair or that little bit of fluff. You can, for a lot of those designs, Shoji actually was another one like this, you can actually substitute a DK yarn in. Now, if you still want to have a little bit of softness there, and a lot of these designs have been created to account for that softness and look, this actually roving will work really, really well, because it'll give you the ever so subtlest of halos in your fabric, but without giving you the fluff, if that makes sense. And if you were to use this, and we've got them Tianao and what's the other dark one? Tianao and Takaha. which are the two darker shades, if you were to take those two darker shades and knit, for example, that for somebody, or even just a straight plain sweater that was in the book that I featured last week, and they were to sort of wear it as a sort of robust round farm or what have you jumper, a couple of things will happen. The first thing that will happen is, particularly under the arms, you will actually get a certain level of felting there, especially if it gets wet. Now, if it's actually quite a robust jumper, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that felting actually will make it quite strong and robust. So that's just something to be aware of. But that's if they are really putting it through its paces. But again, it's 100% wool and nothing that a fabric shaver or a sweater stone wouldn't put pay to. So I wouldn't panic about that. If you're actually wanting to do knitted felt, actually, I know that there was the hobo totes that were being knitted with a lot of Southlander a while ago. Slippers, if you're wanting to do some slippers, that would be fun. Any form of non-knitted felt, actually, roving would work really, really well for that too. It's surprising me, actually. I'm knitting it and enjoying it much more than I was expecting to. I know that sounds awful, but you get your faves, and I generally like a multi-stranded, a multi-plied yarn with a high angular twist. It's a preference thing. It's always been me. So to switch to a single roving it's right outside my comfort zone from a yarn perspective, and I didn't think I'd enjoy knitting it as much as I am, and I am enjoying knitting it. So as I said, great value, $4.95 for the rest of the month. So there you go. Alrighty, I'm back here again on Thursday with young Master Ethan from down at Outlaw HQ. He's had a huge few days. If you caught Breakfast Bourbon on Saturday, live from Wellington Airport, they were just coming back from the opening of Te Whare Hakoa from at the Douse in Wellington with Lissy and Rudy Cole. From all accounts, it was incredible. It sounded utterly amazing. So if you are in the Wellington area and you can get to that exhibition, I think it's running right through to next year. Do make sure you check that out. So he's going to have all his news about that, so we can catch up on how wonderful that was. We can see what's on their needles, and we can catch up on the Basketweaver and even the MKAL. I don't know whether he's doing the MKAL, but I know that's now concluded. Lots of people have actually started posting up their finished objects with that. So if you're sort of at a loose end and you're looking for something to do make sure you cast this one on, because I think it's worth every single stitch with the Basketweaver. I think it's loads of fun. Right, until then, I will see you Thursday with Ethan. Have a great rest of week and take care.